What's the word, my people? Obviously, I'm on Instagram Live. So you know what today is. It's Saturday. What's the word podcast? As I said last week, we got another great show for you today. It's an R&B weekend, or R&B Saturday, should I say. And we got the lovely, amazingly talented Dawn Robinson in the house tonight. And I can't wait if you guys mostly know her for her role in En Vogue. I cannot wait to get into it with her. A real honor having someone like her on the show. But you know how we do with these R&B shows. You know, they pack a lot of substance, a lot of information out there. And again, I always have the group conversation, pros and cons of a group and stuff like that. So we'll definitely get into that. We'll get into stuff she did solo. We'll get into her octave range, as a matter of fact. And you know how it goes. So without further ado, I believe our special guest is already in the house. Let's get it going here. Let's get it going. And there she is.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Great, thank you. How about yourself?
Oh man, I'm excellent. I'm so excited about today's show. So I'm just sitting, and what's crazy is this morning I was just kind of waiting for the show. I'm going around the house, and I was going through the guide, and it was a 90s on MTV2. It was a 90s like hip hop mix or but just like a 90s thing.
Yeah.
And as soon as I turned it on, it was the end of Marky Mark, Good Vibration, and then what came on after that was What a Man. And I was like, yep, today. And I was like, today's gonna be a good day.
Oh my goodness, yes, exactly.
And the funny part is, I didn't even know MTV played music videos anymore, so I was lucky to get it.
Someone told me that they saw some videos, and I thought they must have been watching the old, and they said no, this is current. So they are playing music again, which I get. If you're not going to be music television, then change your name.
Absolutely. But it was great to see, and now actually it's still on the TV here, and it's a Yo MTV rap mix, but before it was like a whole 90s thing, and it was amazing to see.
So they're playing the old school stuff. They're going back and playing all the
videos I used to record so I could watch again,
Exactly. Someone else was telling me that they used to wait for the video to come on, the song to come on the radio and tape it off the radio before MTV, before that stuff. So that's crazy. Yeah. That is so cool, though, that they're bringing it back.
Oh, yeah. And you guys look like you were having an absolute blast on that video shoot.
Exactly. We were.
Absolutely.
Hard work, but we had a great time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, too, a lot of people in this business, and you of all people know this, that, they just see that part. The fun part and the glitz and the glamour, and they don't see a lot of the work, especially back then.
Exactly. It was a lot of work behind the scenes, which, fans are not supposed to see that stuff. They're not supposed to see the stuff that we do that's hard. And I kind of like that they're showing the behind the scenes, the making of videos and what it takes. But I'm pretty happy that we didn't have that history, that the B-roll stuff wasn't there, because it just gives the fans they have a hard enough life themselves. So why do they want to see what's hard for us, But just the making of it, there are a lot of people that don't get thanked either. So not only the director, but the stagehands, the crew, the people that work hard. So it's like in the middle, that I'm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually worked in production with sound for a while. It's like TV shows and stuff like that. And production is a tough business just by itself. Like you said, a lot of those behind the scenes, the grips and the, you know what I mean? They just have no idea how hard these people work. So exactly. I do agree with you on that. I definitely do.
Yeah, it's a thankless job. They really work hard. They're there before we start, which is sometimes 5, 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's hair and makeup, getting in hair and makeup and all this stuff. And then they're there until 2 or 3 in the morning after we leave at 11 and 12 p.m. They're still there. They're tearing everything, So it's a thankless job.
What was some of your favorite parts about not just the video, but those behind the scenes that people don't see? What was kind of your favorite grind, if you will, from back then?
What do you mean? So like the videos themselves?
Like the acting in videos, or the preparation for shows,
Uh,
or just what was kind of your
Um,
niche behind the scenes?
I would say probably the tour, the bus, the tour bus.
Hmm.
Yeah, because we'd be on the tour, like we'd come out of a show, Luther Vandross show, or whoever we were on tour with, or ourselves, because we did Arrested Development. We were the headliners for that tour. So sometimes it was us, and we'd get on the bus, and we'd change our clothes to our pajamas, brush our teeth, and get ready for bed, because we'd have sometimes a 14-hour drive to the next city.
Yeah.
It was 22 hours or 24 hours. Sometimes we'd fly. But I always liked the tour bus. So we'd change our clothes and put on our pajamas, and then we'd watch our video, our VHS tape, and we kind of critique, the show and things that we did wrong. It was mostly, I have to say, and they would probably admit the same thing. It was, Dawn did this and Dawn did that, and look at her notes and look at her steps and listen to her. She sounds terrible. Until I put an end to that. And I was like, wait a minute. First of all, Maxine, I called her out on it. And she's like, you know what, Dawn, come with me. So we went to the back lounge in the bus, and she said, Terry and Cindy, turn the video off, first of all, because they were still critiquing me. And she said, we are not fair to Dawn. We treat her differently, but we all make mistakes. I was like, Terry, especially you, because we've been doing Hold On from the very beginning. That was our first hit, and you still don't know the first note of how it starts.
Wow.
What? If she starts too high, then we're too high.
Yeah.
If she's low, then we're too low, So I'm like, and you're not critiquing yourself, so it's not fair that you're only critiquing me. And so they stopped that. But that was the fun part. It was really, we'd stop on the way. Sometimes we would, just before we get on the longest part of the drive, the driver would usually stop at a gas station or a truck stop, and we would get candy and load up on chips and popcorn. And we try to buy movies sometimes, because you really couldn't watch TV because there was no antenna or no cable on the tour bus. So we would get movies and just watch crazy movie stuff that we had never seen before. And it was a lot of fun. It was a grind because we had such long drives and you're living out of a suitcase, but that was the fun part. That's the part that makes you who you are. That's the road. That's the road, being a road dog.
Yeah. And too, I mean, that's how you really engage with the fans, is them seeing you on stage, and that's a huge part of the career, and the development of artists actually too.
I mean, how can you complain about the fact that you're going to another city where people know your name, they know your songs, they sing along with you, they love you, and they give that back to you?
Yeah.
So you can't complain about that. It's like, yeah, it's a grind, but it's okay. It's all right. It's the life.
Yeah, it's a life. And two, what are some of the, especially you've had a successful solo career, you've had a successful group career. What are some of the pros and cons of both?
Of both of what? I'm sorry. I was saying hello bands. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Of being a solo artist and being in a group.
Oh my gosh. Well, being in a group, of course, you have camaraderie. You have sisterhood or brotherhood. In the case of Lucy Pearl, I had 2 brothers. And so now when I look on stage, I'm used to having 2 girls to my left or 2 girls to my right, or 1 girl to my right, or 2 guys, one on one side and one on the other, or one behind me, playing congas, which is Ali and Lucy Pearl. But doing it on your own, the world is watching, and they're critiquing because they love their groups. They love En Vogue. They love what we stand for. They love Lucy Pearl, and they love what we stood for as well. So it's kind of like I'm proving myself as a new artist all over again. I haven't had the hits that it takes to do, because I had a solo album, but it wasn't a hit. So now I'm still trying to prove myself. It was the wrong label at the wrong time. And great album. I love some of the songs are really dear to me, but it just wasn't the right label. So it kind of got brushed off and fell by the wayside. But I learned a lot from that experience, and I got a lot of great songs that I can still perform. So now it's taking the name that I made with En Vogue and made with Lucy Pearl, and the fan base is still there, which is what I love. I am so grateful that the fan base is still there. But it's tough when the world is just looking at you. You have no one else to blame, you know what I mean, on stage but you.
Yeah.
No blame for an album. Um, well, that's not true necessarily because it's hard to please the world. So,
Of course.
yeah, everybody is a critique and they think they know better about what you should do in an album. So you may get a great write up in People magazine, but you might not get a great write up in, I don't know, Time mag. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
to be so that's a little bit tough because it's hard to please the world. And for instance, um, we had a huge hit with for Lucy Pearl. I'll just give you that example. We had a huge hit here in the States with Dance Tonight, but that same song did not work overseas. Nobody really liked it overseas. The big song overseas was Don't Mess With My Man from that same album.
Mm-hmm.
But here in the States, it didn't work at all. You know what I mean? So it's really tough. It's like hard to please everybody. You just got to please yourself. And then somewhere along the way, you'll pick up fans that love what you do. And, you know, you either create a new fan base or the fans that love you will stick with you. And if they don't stick with you on this album, you'll get them on the next.
Yeah.
But the pressure is on to be great, to have a hit, to be successful like I was with En Vogue and Lucy Pearl. The thing is, you shouldn't try to. You just do what you do. You get in the studio, you work hard. I was just telling someone the other day, I want to do more of a rock album, sort of like Free Your Mind or Black Cat with Janet Jackson, or even Dirty Diana, or Come Together with Michael Jackson, those two songs. So I was like, okay, but it can't be so rock that I alienate my African American fan base. But it can't be too R&B that I alienate my white fan base. So we were crossover pop act, you know what I mean? En Vogue was that.
Yeah.
So you just have to get in there. What I loved about the Lucy Pearl project, even more than En Vogue was a great, don't get me wrong, that was where I got my start. I love the girls, you know, and Vogue is we were the best at it. I'm always our biggest fan. But En Vogue was put together by someone else. So we didn't have a choice of songs. You know, we happened to have hits with them. But some of the songs that we put on our albums, I wouldn't have chosen if it was just up to me.
Yeah.
So our producers, we had a chemistry with them that was unlike any other. Meaning they've tried to you know, produce other people, but it didn't work as well as what it did with us. Our voices with their song, their songs, it was just magic. But with Lucy Pearl, it was
organic.
It was, you said it. I say that word all the time when it comes to that project. It was organic. It was fun. We weren't trying to do anything. We just got in the studio. Like Raphael would come in and he would play like 12 bass lines to one beat. And the producers, Jake and the Fat Man, Bobby and Glenn, they would take out the meters. I don't know if you know who the meters are, but the meters were all of the musicians that played for Stax. They played for the Detroit Sound. They played for Aretha Franklin. They played for James Brown. You know, all these musicians would come together to create these what they call break beats. And Bobby and Glenn would just take out a break beat, and Raphael would start playing bass to that. And he played 12 different lines, 12 different bass lines. And then we come in the next day, and Bobby and Glenn would have put together this frame of what was gonna be La La La, or Every Day, or Dance Tonight. You know what I mean? It was just so organic. We really had a great time putting that album together because there was no set idea of what we wanted to do. It was just get in the studio and work. And I was really intimidated because I wasn't, you know, some singers grow up as writers. They write poetry, you know what I mean? And I was not that type of writer, but Denny and Tommy were gracious enough to allow En Vogue to write. You know what I mean? We didn't have that history of writing, and Denny would really get in there and make sure that we were writing. You know what I mean? For the first album, anyway. He didn't allow us on the second album, but he did on the first. And that's how we got our chops. But I was still intimidated when I got in the studio with Raphael, because to me, as a real musician, he understood writing much better than I did, so I was intimidated, and I wouldn't let him hear what I was doing. He would come in the room with me and be like, and I put away my papers, and I didn't let him see, and I was like, you can't see what I'm writing. He's like, let me just hear what you're doing. I'm like, well, turn around. Turn your back.
Oh, my God.
He'd turn around, and I would sing it, and he's like, oh, my God, go in the studio and sing. You just do your thing. I'm going home. And I'm like, no, don't leave. Because he knew, he was very supportive, and he knew that I I needed to get my writing chops. So he was that project was, so, like you said, organic.
Yeah, and he knows well that the process is the big part.
Yes.
You know, getting there. And you mentioned that En Vogue was put together. Now, you guys auditioned for that, and then it was put together, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah. There was only, people think it was like a cattle call, you know, about 1,000 women there, and there was a line around the block and all that stuff. And it was only, I think, 16 women and not even on the day that we went in. When we went in, it was only one other girl named Jordana that didn't make the group that day. So they didn't have a lot, you know, and the Bay Area is full of talent. You know, you're talking Rosie Gaines, who did Diamonds and Pearls with Prince, Tower Power. I mean, you think of not just women, but just all the talent all together. Sly and Family Stone, you know, there's a lot of talent in the Bay. Metallica, Journey.
Yeah.
They all come from the Bay. So there were a few women that I used to sing background for and get in the studio with, and women that I learned my chops in the live arena doing live shows with like women like Brenda Vaughn, who is a local Bay Area great. She's really, really well known in Japan as well because she's lived over there for years, decades. But Brenda, I want to say Brenda auditioned. There's a woman named Jackie Anderson who's beautiful, like tall, Black and Native American woman. She's gorgeous. Like her hair is to her butt back then. Wow. But she was too tall to fit into the group, you know. So she's literally with no shoes on. She's 6 foot tall.
Wow.
With no heels. Yeah, she's gorgeous. She should have been a solo artist, if you ask me. So to get in that group, it's like, I'm sorry. I still say it to this day. I told my mom the other day, I'm like, Mom, I'm still the Dawn that was wishing and hoping that I could be a star one day. And I was just at a concert and a summer jam in the Bay Area. And at summer jam, this guy just said to me, excuse me, he was at the top of the section that me and my friend were in. And we got up to go get popcorn in between the cover girls and Sweet Sensation coming on stage, or Stevie B.
Wow.
Yeah, Stevie B, actually. It was Stevie B and the cover girls. So Stevie was going off and the cover girls were coming on. In between, they had to change the set. So we were like, okay, let's go get popcorn. Really, it was like code for, let's go check out guys.
Yeah, let's go cruise.
Exactly. That's the top of the section. And this guy was like, excuse me, you're talking about 22,000 people, right? And most of which were women. Because, like, again, Stevie B, cover girls, like guys are not going to go really see that concert. So it was more predominantly women than men. And he's asking me if I'm a model. And I was like, whatever. And I blew him off, you know, because I thought he was trying to pick up on me. When I came back 20 minutes later, he was still there. And he said, excuse me, I'm the guy who just asked you if you could sing. And I was like, I'm sorry, I asked you if you were a model. And I said, okay. And he said, are you a singer? Can you sing? And I was like, yeah. And we talked for about an hour, you know? But think of all the possibilities. Like he could have walked away.
Yeah.
I was so rude. I was so rude to him, you know? He could have walked away. He could have, my friend who was with me was actually a model at that time. So he could have been talking to her.
Yeah.
She was actually a model. When he said, are you a model? It could have been her. So I just thank God. I really do.
You know, and it's crazy, like you said, of all the things that could have happened, because in your state of mind then, you just said it was mostly girls at the concert. So any guys that were there were probably there to get girls.
Exactly.
So, you know.
Yes, you're right. Exactly.
Now was that, I guess you could say nerve-wracking, or what's the word? But were you nervous at all once they put the group together, because you didn't pick it, but all of a sudden you guys are together and now we're on the record, we got to make music. Was that, what was that feeling like?
It was very nerve-wracking. It was because the thing is when you are, as you know, when you meet strangers for the first time, if you're going to be around each other for a certain amount of time, even a couple of hours just sitting at a bar or at a restaurant, you kind of get to know them. You're laughing, you're having a good time. Everybody's nervous. The day of the audition, we had to learn the song that is actually on the record, on Born to Sing, called, oh my God, I can't think of it. It'll come to me. But that was our audition. What was the song? Oh my God, I can't think of it. Somebody's going to tell me in a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah, somebody will say it.
So anyway, we had that song was Waiting on You. Exactly.
Waiting. There you go.
Thank you, Felice. How are you? Uh, so Waiting on You, that was the audition, but we learned it that day. So anytime you're in the studio, if anybody sings, they know what I'm saying. It's like you can't close your eyes and emote. You can't feel the song because you're learning. You're trying to read lyrics as you go along, and there's no way that you can put any kind of emotion into that because you don't know it.
Yeah.
And you're nervous, so my version of the audition actually ended up on the record. The actual audition, I didn't change anything, I didn't add anything.
Wow.
It didn't change anything, and that kind of put a kind of like a, oh well, Dawn's the lead singer of the group without me actually being the lead singer and not knowing that. And there was kind of a, I remember the first time we went over to London, we ended up in Terry's room for some reason, and we were happy. We were running around the hotel. It was like this little boutique hotel, and we were waiting for them to change her room because her room was right across from our manager, and it was a glass wall that looked onto his room, and she was like, I can't stay in this room with David right there. So we were in her room, and we were talking, and Maxine said, well, Dawn, and in so many words, I'm paraphrasing, but she said, Dawn, well, you're the lead singer. You know you're the lead singer of the group. And I was like, no, immediately, and I'm trying to, play small. And Terry was very indignant and very nasty and said, excuse me, I don't think so. Who said that? And I was like, no, Terry's right. I'm not the lead singer. But because of the audition, that was or them choosing my version of the audition, that's what the perception was, So.
Now, as a fan, as an outside looking in, from the videos and just the whole conglomerate of everything going on,
yeah,
you were kind of portrayed as, and I know a camera can make things look different. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
From the outside looking in and not talking to you about it or anything, just
right.
I mean, you did kind of resemble what a leader of a group would be.
Wow, real. I look at our stuff. I think that because I sang the biggest hits, I sang lead on the biggest hits. Maybe that's why, which is really Don't Let Go and Giving Them Something to Feel. But I think Never Gonna Get It was actually a bigger hit than those two. So I'm sorry, bigger hit than Giving Them Something. But I guess in every group you have one that stands out, and maybe that was it for me. I look at our videos now and I do see it a little bit, but it wasn't something that was conscious with me. In other words,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm out in front of I'm not Beyonce here.
Well, you guys as a group were so strong, so it was, it was so strong. But also it helped that, I think I read something that, you're kind of a lyric anomaly. You sing in 2 octaves. I think they said the Hold On was in like E3 or something like that, which was just, but that's not usual, if you will.
I see what you're saying. No, actually, I sing much higher than what the world knows, like what the fans have ever heard me sing like. Minnie Riperton notes or Mariah Carey notes, like that. The whistle notes, I can do a lot of that, but our producers didn't really, there were no opportunities to do that in, so they never asked us, hey, do you guys sing in that register? You sing way up there.
Yeah.
Or they would have known, and I don't know why I never said that to them. I guess I was too nervous to, or I don't know why, but on my solo stuff, the stuff that I'm coming out with now, they'll hear that. But I don't know if I necessarily knew what keys or what notes I was singing in and what octave range I had at all in the group.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and again, your guys' group was so strong. But to do a little history, when was the first time, and this is before the audition, anything, when you sang and you said, this is what I want to do? I mean, was it with church? I know you're a big fan of jazz and stuff like that. So what really started you saying, hey, this is me, this is what I want to do, and I'm good at it?
Right. I'm not a fan of jazz. I don't know who told you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not really. I'm growing into it. As a singer, I really don't understand music without lyrics and music without vocals. Sorry.
That's okay.
So I really can't. I'm not a musician in that sense, where jazz is concerned. But when I hear Shaka Khan, I can understand it. When I hear Ella Fitzgerald, those are different types of jazz singers. so I'm starting to respect it a lot more. When I did the movie Life, I had a really small, if you blink your eyes, literally, where is she? Like I was there and I was gone. I was singing a song called Drop Me Off in Harlem by Ella Fitzgerald. And that's when I got a, like, whoa, a love for standards.
Yeah.
Not necessarily jazz like Najee, and I'm not putting him down. It's just not my style. Or Kenny G. But I can respect, Miles Davis. I can respect jazz artists. I understand Diana Krall. I love her. She's a jazz singer. But the first time that I knew I could really, my parents raised me with, my sister and I, with incredible music in the home. And I mean, everybody from Sergio Mendes, there's a song called Mas Que Nada, which is all Brazilian, and it's spoken in Brazilian. So when you sing it, Mas Que Nada, sabe de French, it's all French. It's all Portuguese. Beautiful song. But my dad said that I was 2 years old and I was in the car with him and we were running errands. And at the time, the Beatles had a song called Michelle My Belle. And that was their big hit. Most of which was sang in French. And he said, he looked out at me because I was in the passenger seat and he said I was harmonizing with him. And he was like, okay, wait, because I could barely talk. I was only 2 and I was learning how to talk. So he runs in the house with me in his arms. He's like, telling my mom, she can sing. She can. And he's like, Johnny, she can't even talk. Like, what are you? She can't talk. You're saying that she can sing in French? The song on, and I sang it. I sang with him, and of course it was rough, but I think I got the bug of singing because my parents were always singing around the house. My mother, when she was carrying me, always tells me that she was singing constantly. So the book that I'm writing, my autobiographical book, there are a few photos of my mom. She had just had me. I wasn't even a month old. She's in the living room and she's singing with her friends. Because at that time, everybody wanted to be in a girl group. Girl groups were all the rage in, 65 is when I was born. And she said that she put on Stop in the Name of Love by, it was a Supreme song. Yeah. And, because constantly singing. And she was 19, so she raised us with that music. And I just kind of, picked it up. I want to be a singer. I just knew it. I knew it from a very early age.
Absolutely. So on to newer endeavors. We did a little dove into a little bit of history.
Okay.
You mentioned the book. What's that like doing that?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard. I didn't think it would be this difficult because I have to remember so much. So when I go back in to read what I already have, I end up editing and saying, oh no, that didn't happen there, or this happened there, and changing things around, and it's taking me way longer than I thought it should. I'm really frustrated with myself because I'm not really doing it the way I need to. It's taking too long.
Yeah.
I'm critiquing instead of just write what you have, and then go in and critique later. Put stuff down, the memories that you have, and then go back later and fix it. Don't sit here and either, because you're editing every single time you sit down, you can't get anywhere. So
yeah,
I love when I read it. I'm like, oh my God, we lived that. Oh my God, that happened. Oh my God, it's so fun, and I hope the readers are going to live vicariously through me and the story that I'm telling.
Yeah, and it's quite a different process than writing music, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
And
I got to go back 30 years. I got to figure out.
And how do you not edit something that everybody's gonna read? Like that. You're editing in your head while you're writing, and then is your brain computing it that fast? And then it's but the one thing I will say is, I know it's cliche, but we are our own worst critics. Right. So and that's especially with music, but writing a book, mm-hmm. I don't know how you turn that off to critique what you're doing. That's just.
I have a ghostwriter, but he can only write what I tell him.
Yeah.
He can't write before me because he didn't live it. I have to tell him the story first, and then he has to put what you call flowery words. And so if I say, we had a great time, he'll say we had a phenomenal time. You know, he'll make it, but he still can't tell my story. So that was the kind of, I thought when you get a ghostwriter is going to be different, but I'm like, no, he's got to wait for me to say what I did and then tell him. And then he kind of changes things. And he's not really changing my story. Otherwise, it's not my story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's got to keep it true to who I am. And he is. But at the same time, I'm just like, oh my God, I got to remember 30 years ago, everything that happened. And that's the hard part, remembering all the history. You can't remember this morning, let alone 30 years.
Who are you telling? Well, also, too, when you're going through an experience, you were in a certain state of mind at that time, and then now you're in a completely different state of mind, trying to remember how you felt back then, because you feel differently about it now.
Exactly.
So how do you write it without a prejudice, if you will, towards how you felt at that time?
Right. Well, you know, that part isn't so hard, because like I was just telling you, when I wrote the first chapter, that was really easy because I was writing about the concert that I just told you. The guy was like, can you model? And so that part isn't hard at all because there's no critique there.
Yeah.
I got into the studio the day of the audition. There's no critique there either. I was wanting to go home because I was intimidated. Cindy had been a child star and had traveled the world, gone to Japan back and forth, and was a Bay Area local. Great. She had done so many incredible things in her life. So I was intimidated and I wanted to go home, and I kept asking my sister, take me home. And she's like, no, you're going to do this. This is why you're here. I'm not leaving. I'm not taking you home, and I'm pregnant, and leave me alone. She was like over me.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly right. Because if it was my mother, my mom offered to take me. And I said, no, I want Dana to take my sister. And I think I innately knew that if I said to my mom that I wanted to go home, she would have said, okay, because she didn't want me to be nervous. She wanted to protect her being a mother. So I'm glad my sister took me, because she wasn't having it. She was going to stay there, and I'm going to do this audition hook or crook. You know, you're going to make it happen. But yeah, it is hard to not critique yourself. So right now I'm in the early stages of the book. I'm only chapter 2. I should be chapter 5 by now. But I'm only chapter 2, and it's telling that part of it isn't hard at all. It's not hard. Because it's the early part of the whole thing. So I remember that verbatim, like being in London, like I said the first time, hearing my song on the radio for the first time, where I was, you know, that moment it happened. Our first award show, going, you know, being nominated, all of that feeling, you kind of reliving it as you go along. So that's not hard to do that part. It's the details that come later that are going to be hard for me. You know? Yeah.
Now, obviously, we're going through COVID, and 2020 has been, I don't even have words for it, but are you and Maxine planning on hitting the road again once everything opens up? I know you guys did a reunion show, I think last year, right?
Yes, we did with En Vogue. All
four you ladies.
And there as well. Hey, Tanya. No, hi, John. Maxine and I are no longer working together. That fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cindy and Terry wanted to lock down the name Funky Divas, and to me, it was shitty. I got to say it straight up.
Yeah.
Because they already have the name En Vogue, and they've had it for years and been making money and been lucrative with that money, with that name for so many years. And Maxine and I have not been so lucky. So when the argument came that they wanted the name, it's like, first of all, I don't have the money to get an attorney and fight these girls. You got to get a trademark attorney, and all this stuff and all this rigmarole. And Maxine and I had some differences, so I thought, okay, it's up to me to be by myself right now, and be solo, for real, and get out there and do it my way. So I love Maxine. It just didn't work out. The reunion was crazy great. It was amazing. I could not believe the reaction that the fans had to us, had for us. The love, the respect. I think we broke the internet for the first time ever. Like we had, when I left the group in '97, we had never streamed before. That was something totally new.
Mm-hmm.
So to stream for the first time and have the reaction the way it was like, wow, thank you, Father. Like, thank God the fans are still here and they still love us. And it was just great. And the harmonies, it was like being back and never having been missed, you know what I mean? We hadn't missed a beat with each other. So, and the reason really that I didn't do it is because I didn't want to have to deal with Rona. I thought that Rona should have sat out, taken a back seat, and let us do our thing with our fans for the first, you know what I mean? You got 30 years in the game. Let us celebrate those first, 10 years or 8 years together that we had with our fans. The foundation that we built, she wasn't there for.
Yeah.
And I just thought she should step out, and she wouldn't, and the girls wouldn't hold her to it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do the reunion. And there were other reasons too, but.
Of course. And the thing is you guys have, I don't want to say unique. I mean, your guys' fan base is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, all week I've been getting messages and messages. I can't wait for Saturday's show. I can't wait for Saturday. And it's been, I've had people in my inbox that I know follow you, and they've been messaging me. I'm so excited for the show. Thanks for the follow back. So, I mean, you still, I mean, the fan base is still just absolutely crazy. Just absolutely crazy.
Exactly.
But it shows the testament of what you guys accomplished.
Yes, exactly. It's amazing. Like I said earlier in the conversation with you, to know that the fan base is still there. There's fans that are teaching their kids, and their kids are coming online and saying, my mom plays my music for you. And I'm like, how old are you? 12? Huh? You weren't even a thought, and it's been 30 years. Like I said, so 12 years old, 14, 17 years old, that to me is phenomenal. Music is so powerful. I was just telling my parents this. When we were kids, we listened to what our parents listened to. There was no this age group for us and that age group for our parents. It was none of that stuff. When they listened to Earth, Wind, and Fire, or in my dad's case, Led Zeppelin, I listened to Led Zeppelin. I listened to Earth, Wind, and Fire, Shaka Khan, Rufus. So, it's just phenomenal to know that the fans love us so much. And I love us, so I understand. I'm a fan, like I said. I'm En Vogue's biggest fan. And I always said that. I don't care what record company we met with. I always said we did it the best. We came out in 1990, and all the other girl groups came out after us, and no offense to them, but our fans, our harmonies, it's undeniable.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, exactly. So I was always proud of us and always in our corner, and, I always will be.
And I think, too, it stands out. I mean, it stood out back then, obviously, but, and we're in an era in R&B right now where a lot of it sounds the same. A lot of the art, you don't know who is who, and
and I don't mean that in a derogatory or a mean way, but sometimes I'm like, okay, isn't that the girl that just went off? And they're like, no, this is someone else. I'm like, huh? Okay, wait, play that other song again, and then they'll play a little bit, and I'll like, okay, play the next one that just went off, and they're like, I'm like, that's two different people. It's really hard to, at least when En Vogue came out in 1990. We had our own sound, and then you got, I think it was either TLC that came out right after us, Brownstone, Jade, Total. Total's probably my favorite girl group. Those badass, I love them so much. Escape, I love Escape too. Oh my gosh, yeah.
SWV.
SWV, Jade, Brownstone.
Yeah.
A lot of girl groups, but everybody had their own sound. And they may have been based off, En Vogue is doing this, so you guys got to be a girl group too and create a girl group because of En Vogue, Destiny's Child, all those groups, but they had their own thing. Whereas right now, and I guess it was the way that it was in the 60s with girl groups, you didn't know who was who. Mm-hmm. The Shangri-Las had their own sound. Martha and the Vandellas had their own sound. The Supremes, of course, had their own sound. The Angels, My Boyfriend's Back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So every group had their own thing, but they kind of sounded alike. If you didn't know the Supreme sound musically, because music is what I think defined them and separated them. Not so well. Diana Ross, you could hear her voice, so it's her. But all the other groups to me seemed like it was all a mesh of one sound. Mm-hmm. And then you have the 80s, 70s. Let's say the 70s with Sister Sledge, The Emotions. That whole era. And then you had, like I said, cover girls in the 80s. You had really Expose, to me, was the most vocal group, harmony-wise, and really singing. You had the Go-Go's, of course. Oh, my God, they were great. And you had the Bangles.
Yeah. Walk Like the Egyptian. And, yeah, absolutely.
Manic Monday and Close your eyes, give me your hand, feel your heartbeat. Yeah,
Oh
so they
yeah.
have songs too. They really wrote well.
Was
And
that something Shade of Winter or something?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Hazy Shade of Winter is a different song. Um,
I'm trying to remember. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
do you feel the same? Am I only dreaming? Is Eternal. Um,
Eternal. There you go. And
Eternal
I
song.
actually got to meet her.
Really?
My brother-in-law's a screenwriter, and one of his first scripts that he did was Meet the
Right.
Fockers.
Okay.
And she's married to Jay Roach, the director.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
So,
Wow.
so one of the rap parties we went to or whatever for Meet the Fockers, she had just got off tour, and I
That's
actually got to. She's like 5'4" and just beautiful and just still so full of energy. It's amazing.
exactly bubbly. I would think she'd be bubbly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love the Go-Go's the same way for the same reason. Just great music, great songs, real musicians. They could play. You didn't have a bunch of guys coming in to play for them. They were like, no, we can do this ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool. But so anyway, getting back to En Vogue, and our sound was just so unique. And now it's kind of like, yeah, everybody sounds the same. I can't define it. And maybe it's because I feel like my parents, when they used to say, oh, that music, oh, what are you playing? And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I may be out of the loop, and that may be why. But I try to research, you know, and find out who's who, so I
Yeah.
can talk about the artists that are out today. And I'm just like, there's very few that I hear, and I'm just like, oh my God, yeah, you are fabulous. Like, you know, Tori Kelly, she's incredible. Rihanna's amazing. She always comes out with something different. You never know if she's going to have a ballad or an EDM song or, you know, a hot disco, like feeling EDM. So, you know, she's pretty phenomenal.
Well, we talk about it on the show a lot, and I mean, like you said, you grew up with all sorts of music, and so did my generation. I'm a hip hop producer and artist and engineer, and
Yeah.
I Led Zeppelin, my favorite band.
Okay.
I love blues. I love boogie woogie. I love funk. I love this, but I think this generation has only grown up to kind of hip hop sound, so there's not much, that they can put into it because they just know this type of music.
Right. Exactly. I don't even know any rock bands that are out right now, and it's not to say that they're not out. I really don't know who's. You know, there's no Stone Temple Pilots or
Soundgarden.
Soundgarden type of
Chris
sound.
Cornell had an amazing voice.
Oh, Cornell, please! I played just the other day. I played his the soundtrack to when he did the James Bond film.
Yeah.
You know, do you know my name? It's just wow. I would have loved to have done a duet with him.
I actually got to work with him when he did an album with Timbaland. It was called Scream.
Scream, exactly. I just found that song.
It's a whole album, and it's amazing.
I heard exactly. So he wanted to do different stuff, and I'm so proud of him for even trying. Because you're talking about they're hardcore when it comes to rock, and their audience does not want them changing that much. I think. And maybe I'm defining this a little too crazy, but I think Black people will accept rock or artists doing more rock songs than rock artists or rock fans will accept a rock artist doing R&B.
Yeah,
very hard on their artist. So, yeah, good for him for even trying.
Yeah, and you know what? When I think it came out in 2009 or 2008 or something, they didn't Interscope didn't promote it. They did shoot 2 videos. But it was like him and Timbaland more did it to be like, we can do this, you know.
And I heard Scream. I did see that video, and I don't remember anything else from that solo album, that R&B album. But yeah, good for him, man.
Yeah.
Good. What a voice! What a talent!
Definitely was. He's definitely missed in this music world for sure. Yeah. Before we let you go, what's new? Coming into we're rounding about this 2020. So what's new with the lovely Dawn Robinson for I guess you could say 2021?
Exact 2021. Well, you said something earlier about 2020 being like crazy. I think 2020, yes, it has been. I'm not going to deny that. But I also think it was good because we have a president that is, I don't know if he's on our side or he's not. He seems crazy, but at times there's certain things that he's trying to say that he's not able. And I'm like, okay, what is this? Is it really that, like he says, fake news? Are they holding him back from saying stuff that he should? Because there's other things that I see him doing that he's doing for Black people, and I'm like, when did that happen? Why didn't they put that on the news? Like, why didn't he speak up and say, I did this for Black people, I did that? So, but because he's so freaking narcissistic and crazy, we don't know if he's in our corner. It just seems all bad all the time. I know that COVID was a crazy thing as well, but I also know it brought people closer together. It made us clean our world up. Like, the air is much cleaner now because we didn't have our cars out there for the longest time. So there's no air pollution. We over-consume, we over-pollute, we overbuy way too much stuff that we don't need. So most of the time, stay your ass home. You really don't need to go to the store again.
Yeah.
This week, you've been there 3 or 4 times. And so I know that it seems crazy. I just want to tell people to hold it together. Vote if you think that you're voting for the right person, just vote. But I know that a lot of times our votes don't matter, especially for Black people. I've been voting since I was, 17, 18 years old. And all the presidents that have ever existed since I was a little girl, old enough to understand what a president is, has never done anything for Black people, including Obama. So it's like, the only time change has ever happened is when people came together, like Vietnam. The kids were not having it. So they do sit-ins, they would protest, and they made changes happen. And then with Martin Luther King, with the bus situation, he boycotted buses, and it hit him hard. The bus companies were like, okay, we're going to let all Black people on the bus, and it's fine. They can sit anywhere they want. Because they were trying to stop us from that. Like, come on. People that are dying at the hands of police, that shit has to stop.
Facts.
Oh, my God, it's insane. It's like, I can't keep up. And I'm just like, Father, what is this about? God, talk to God a lot. What is this about?
The fact that we can't keep up, too, seems ridiculous.
Exactly, because there's so many. It happens so often. But I think what's happening with that, though, is your name Dyer?
Dyer, yeah.
It's Dyer. I love your name. Okay.
Thank you.
I was wondering if that was your real name. So the thing that I see, Dyer, that's happening is that I think, and maybe I'm speaking, so you tell me, because you're of the Caucasian race, but I think what's happening is that young people are seeing what their grandparents probably treated Black people like. What slave owners back in the day treated Black people like, and they're seeing this for the first time, like, wait a minute, our president is okay for the way people are being treated, Black people are being killed at an alarming rate, you're okay with this? Like, Mom, Dad, this is fine for you? I'm not a part of what you guys believe in. And I think they're starting to separate themselves and see the world for what it really is. Mm-hmm. I think that every Republican president probably hated Black people the same way, but just didn't verbalize it the way this crazy president that we have is doing.
Well, now they feel empowered to say it because...
Well, he's crazy, so he says whatever's on his mind because he's not a politician. And that's a good thing. Like I told my parents, I'd rather have a president that tells the truth about how he feels than have somebody that thinks, oh, I love Black people and all people, all races, all ethnic people are great. When he doesn't believe that. And
I've always said that. I was actually raised with a Black family.
Really?
And so I've seen, I've literally, as a youngster running around, getting in trouble, I've been let go from police officers while my brothers and cousins have been taken in for the same instance. At like 12 years old, 11 years old and stuff like that. So I had seen it, my whole life.
Exactly.
And one thing that my parents always said, they used to actually call me Danger because they said, you dangerous. You know what it's like to be in these neighborhoods and what it's like to go through this, but you also will be able to go places that we won't ever be able to go. And that is dangerous.
Well, I wouldn't say it's just...
in a good way,
I understand. Yeah, I know what they meant. But I think right now, it's kind of like, it really is just waking people up. It's because we're seeing it for real, what's going on. It's a repeat of what was happening in the 50s, late 50s and 60s. Except they can't hose us down like they used to, but they're stringing us up in trees still. All that hate is there. And it's like, what is the intimidation? Because that's what people keep asking, fans ask me all the time, why do you think we're hated so much? And I'm like, they hate to love us. Yeah. We're great at so many things. And not to say that you guys are not, but you give Black women the same situation that a white woman is in. You take her husband out of the home. And a white woman's used to the husband being the breadwinner, where the Black woman is like, wait a minute, I was a breadwinner before I met you. And now that you're gone, I'm just going back to what I knew before. I'm strong. I was strong before I met you. I'm strong now. So we can work it out a lot better. And we're so forgiving as human beings. As a race, we really are of the stuff that we've gone through. But now I think it's time for the world to come together. I think somehow this is going to be a healing situation. Just think COVID made people stay home. Like I said, now people are homeschooling their kids and they're like, you have homework that I wouldn't even know anything about. Like, it's bringing
I'm Mr. Mom during the day, and then I work in my studio at night.
Wow, good for you, Dyer. Good for you. Where did you get that name? Where did they get your name from?
So it's interesting because, okay, the mafia was, you know, immigrants. They came from nothing, and they literally shaped the United States.
Right.
Not the bad stuff, but there was a guy named Meyer Lansky who was a Jew, and he was kind of the first one in the Italian mafia to say, hey, you know, let's recruit for criminal talent and not just because you're Italian. And I was kind of the only white dude in my neighborhood. And I said to my, you know, people I grew up rapping with, you know, let's recruit for musical talent and not because you're a Crip or you're a Blood or you're this or you're that. You know, we got a lot of stuff to do. And at the time, it was crazy. Mid-'90s in a gangbanging neighborhood was insane. And I was in dire need to do something.
Right.
And so I took on Dyer Lansky.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So, name. It really is.
Appreciate it.
I want to name him Dyer. I love that name.
That's awesome.
Dire Straits. I kind of felt that.
Yeah, but, yeah. And it was you know, and when I say the mafia, I'm not talking about the murder and stuff like that, but just coming from nothing. Right. And trying to and to, you know, these guys ended up, you know, making Las Vegas and shaping the U.S. You know, the U.S. government conformed to take out the mafia. So, you know, no matter where you, and the point is too, is like no matter where you come from, you can still make a big difference.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Good name. Great name that you came up with for yourself. So you asked me what I was doing.
Yes. No, it's okay. New music. What 2021? What are we looking at?
Yes, you are looking at new music. You are also looking at, right now I'm just starting the process of that though. So I'll put it out there. If anybody has hits, you know, the fans have, producers are out there. And I really love giving the underdog a chance. I love to give, in other words, I love giving people that no one knows yet a chance. So who's the next Timberland? Who's the next, you know, Rodney Jerkins? Or Babyface. So yeah, I'm working on that, but I'm also working on my book, like I said, so my autobiographical book about my life story. And then I have a new label, my label, Stiletto Entertainment. Yeah! Stiletto, like high heel. But that's my label, and I'm developing that. I have business partners that I'm really proud of and happy with, and for the first time, it's been a long, like, you know, Dawn's coming out with a solo album, Dawn's doing it, and I haven't really been able to, and now I feel for the first time it's going to be the right way. It wasn't because I wasn't trying, it was because it wasn't the right time, the right people, the right label.
Yeah.
Now,
and timing is everything in this business.
All of it. Absolutely, Dyer, that's right. It's all of it. Yeah.
Well, how exciting. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I can't wait. Where, you know, so producers out there, here's your here's your opportunity, you know.
Absolutely. That's right. I have a couple of producers in mind, and then my business partner, my publisher, has been playing me tracks for this team of producers that he has as well. So I'm trying to pick and choose the right songs, and this album has to be. I always compare. You know, I know that Michael Jackson had way bigger albums than Off the Wall, but Off the Wall to me was the most solid album he had. And I say that because he had Rod Temperton and Quincy Jones as production. You cannot, come on. Like, Thriller was way bigger of an album, and so was the Bad album, but there's something about Off the Wall that is classic. Girlfriend, She's Out of My Life. I mean, yeah.
To be a fly in the wall on those studio sessions, huh?
Oh my God! And I've gone into studios where the studio head, the head of the studio was like, "This is the room that Michael," and I was like, "Let me touch the walls, let me touch the microphone," like, you know, because Michael was in this room. The magic that man had.
Absolute magic.
Yeah, absolute magic. So that's why I say that album stands the test of time in a different way. The other albums, I think, were just popular more so than the body of work that were on those albums. They were great albums, don't get me wrong. We all loved them. Thriller was incredible, but there's just something really organic, like you said earlier, about Off the Wall.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do an album that stands the test of time like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. And also too, being an engineer and a gearhead and just a nerd kind of I am in music.
Yeah.
Sonically, it just sounds amazing. No computers, no Pro Tools, and it just sounds so amazing.
Yes, they had to cut and copy paste that album together.
Yeah.
So you breathe on one part, they had to make sure they had to cut. You remember they had to cut the reel?
Oh yeah.
If you cut wrong, you know what I mean? So yeah, that album, that's why sonically it sounds the best, because it's not as clean as the rest. The others were, I think by the time you got to Thriller, it was a CD.
Yeah.
Whereas Off the Wall was an album, totally different sound. You're right about that, Dyer. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Instagram's about to cut us off because I don't have a Versus sponsor yet. But I want to thank you. I just want to thank you so much. I was all week. I just been like, yes. And like I said, I got up this morning and What a Man played, and I was like, okay, this day is gonna be absolutely great.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. We look forward to the book. We look forward to new music. Congratulations on the label. That's huge. It's so exciting. So please, as we get into 2021 and you have more things coming up, please come back and see us and talk with us. And
I promise you. And I want to put one more thing out to the fans.
Absolutely.
Because people are feeling like this year was such a waste and everything. I'm like, you guys should have utilized that time to research your business. There's so much to do sitting at home all day long. Figure it out. So you have 3 more months left of this month, and I challenge, well, really not even, because we're at the end of September now, so October, November, 3 months. You still have time to research your business, still have time to figure things out for yourself. You can still do it. 2021, this is the prep time, 2021.
Absolutely.
I'm going to challenge them, and I would love to come back when my album is out and talk to you about the album.
Please do. Because, again, your fan base is still, incredible.
Yes.
Just as you are, and you deserve it. You deserve it all.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Dyer.
No problem. Thank you so much for and I can't wait to, again, the new music and new tours, and I can't wait. It's exciting.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, it is. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you out there.
Oh,
me in person.
Absolutely. I got to say too, I live in LA, and you brought up when COVID hit, it was amazing that I live in the Valley, but that you could see downtown, with no smog and no.
They showed pictures, man. And at first I thought, okay, this is doctored up. And then I saw the picture from the airport. They have cameras there because, they have to see when flights really a clear day, or if it's not, if it's too much smog, or so the weather, there's a technical word for it, but the people that watch the weather for the flights coming in and out.
Yeah.
They had real photos of the, before and after and during COVID. And they were like, oh my God, it was terrible.
Yeah.
At first. And now with COVID, they were like, look at the air. This is Los Angeles, people.
Yeah.
They were like, what?
It was crazy. It was a nice little break. It was a nice little break.
You saw it with your own eyes. Really? Wow. So thank you for confirming that what I was seeing is right. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So again, we love you very much. Can't wait to have you back. Congrats on all the success you've had in a lifetime of just, talent and just unbelievable music. I mean, everybody needs music. So
absolutely. Well, you see back here.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna. My parents had a fire, so this one.
Oh man.
The time, if you can see that, but these are all our platinum and gold albums, and so absolutely. We did our thing. This is En Vogue. This is our.
I love it.
Great. Thank you so much.
I love it. Okay. We'll have you back soon. Thanks to all the fans for tuning in.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Don. It's just so awesome. I can't wait to see you in person.
You're a great interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love my job. Like I can't.
I can tell.
And so we love you. Thank you again. We'll see you soon.
All right. You take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. I thank the fans.
Everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely. This was great.
Sean, I saw you there. Let me see. Zia. I know it's going to cut me off, so if it cuts
no, it's okay.
Hi, Zia. Phonies, thank you again. Tanya, Brian, take care, you guys. All right, Diane, thank
Absolutely. Take care. We'll see you soon.
you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It's going to cut us off in just a few seconds. We're going to come right back with Stephen Russell Hartz from Troop. So tune in, please. We'll talk to you guys later. What's the Word Podcast. Peace.